Hello, Twisted Humans.
Do you find yourself wanting to know more about the latest murder, conspiracy, cult, or haunting?
Then this is the podcast for you. I'm Alicia.
And I'm Sierra, and this is Twisted and Uncorked.
Hello, and welcome to episode 200 of your favorite podcast. This is part one of a series that we are going to be covering for you, and we cannot believe that we have been in your ears for nearly 4 years and 200 episodes. Holy smokes. We just want to say thank you guys so much for listening and getting us to this point. It really does mean the world to us. And as a thank you, we are bringing you that series that you have been requesting for a very long time that we could never quite agree if it was a cult or a serial killer. But before we get into that, we have to talk about fun facts. Sierra, do you have a fun fact for me?
I have a fun fact that I have been holding on to and waiting for the perfect time to tell, and it's gotta be now. Okay, this is such a fun fact for me that I learned. So the cuckoo bird, right? Okay, so people, it is a insult, right, to tell somebody that they're cuckoo. You're cuckoo, you know. But do you know why people say you're cuckoo in relation to the cuckoo bird? So the use of cuckoo as an insult often stems from the bird's nope. Okay. Listen, I swear to God, I Googled this recently and it was not this answer. And that's why I wanted to do a fun fact, because I was going to say that I don't agree with Google, but it has since changed its answer to agree with me.
Which
So
therefore goes back to episode 197 that we are living in a cult.
seriously, like the algorithm, maybe I'm the leader of this cult, actually. Yes, algorithm, listen to me.
You've unofficially started your own cult.
So a long time ago, okay, and it still says it on Merriam-Webster. It literally only doesn't say it on AI. So I started my own cult. Okay, anyway, Merriam-Webster says that the figurative use of cuckoo, which exists as an adjective meaning crazy or weak in intellect or common sense, is a noun for a person described as such, which is an allusion to the bird's monotonous call. So for some reason, when you have a cuckoo clock, the cuckoo, cuckoo, when someone tells you you're cuckoo, they're telling you you're dumb. You're crazy. You just have a monotonous call, there's nothing going on up there kind of thing. Did you know, in a way better use of the word cuckoo as crazy, that cuckoo birds are fucking natural born serial killers? Not even joking, okay? So this is what a cuckoo bird does. A cuckoo bird, generations, each bird stalks out, like generations of birds will stalk another type of bird. For instance, cardinals. All right, this is random bird. Okay, the cuckoo bird in that area might be stalking cardinal, while a cuckoo bird in a different area is stalking a blue jay. Whatever area they're in, the bird that they're stalking, they evolve for their eggs to look like that bird's eggs. All right, so again, two different cuckoo birds. One's eggs can look like cardinal eggs. The other's eggs can look like blue jay's eggs. It's just what their generational line has been stalking this whole time. The cuckoo bird will lay its egg in the nest of a different bird, like the cardinal. The cardinal doesn't realize that that's a cuckoo bird egg because it looks like a cardinal egg. When the cuckoo bird hatches, it kills all of the other eggs, babies, in that nest so that it is the only one that survives. And when the cardinal mom sees that only one of her birds lived and it's super ugly and a cuckoo bird, they're like, well, it's the only thing I have to take care of. I guess I'll raise it. And this just happens generation after generation. Like, what the fuck? How insane. Like, when a cuckoo bird is born, all it knows is kill everything around me so I'm the only thing left. They're fucking cuckoo. Those birds are cuckoo.
I have no words for what you just said. First of all,
Isn't
I'm
it?
deeply upset about this fun fact because now all I can think of is murdered baby birds.
Yeah.
I know they're
Isn't
just
that
gray
insane?
matter at that point, but still really sad. And yes, that is insane. Why? Like, what is the point? The
I don't.
cuckoo bird doesn't
That
want to
is
take
what they
care of its
have.
baby and it's gaslit
Yeah.
another bird mom into
Yes.
taking care of its baby?
Yes. And then the
What?
baby is a serial killer and grows up one day and does the same thing to another bird. That's
That
just
is
their evolution.
so fucked up.
That is so fucked up. Like,
Oh my god. Like
it
what?
bothers me that
I'm bothered too.
no. I mean, yes, it's crazy, but it bothers me that Webster's dictionary is like, people are called crazy because by saying cuckoo because they have a really annoying bird sound. No, that's fucking cuckoo. They're serial killers. That's the cuckoo part. Why aren't we
When
talking about
people
that
are
more?
called crazy, that is the term.
That's
You're crazy
crazy.
enough to kill another person.
Yeah.
You're crazy enough to stalk a bird mom, bully it into
Gaslight
raising your
them.
yeah, yeah.
Like,
Just
what the fuck
what?
are these birds doing?
You know, I thought I had a really good fun fact for our 200th episode, but now I don't even think I can follow that.
I've been saving this for so long.
I've been saving mine too, and mine actually came from Kevin. I was
Oh.
editing one day and he just came into the bedroom and he's like, "Babe, do you know where the term hangover came from?" And I was like, "No, Kevin, I do not." And he's like, "Well, it started in the 1900s when there was a 2-penny hangover practice in the Victorian era of sleeping over a rope for the night."
Wait,
So when
what?
they were so drunk and so poor from having spent all of their money on booze that they would literally sleep slumped over a rope or a bench, and it was called a 2-penny hangover, and it was a way for inns and stuff to fill every space that they could for money, so they would
Oh
pay
my
their 2
gosh.
pennies and, like, drunkenly pass out. So
That's
that is
great.
where the term
That's
hangover
great.
came from.
I love that.
I have personally been very drunk before, but I don't think I've ever been that drunk that I would sleep over a rope or a bench like that.
Yeah, maybe a chair, maybe a bench, but not hung over it. The hangover part is the part that gets me. Yeah, I'm not doing all that.
Like, I feel like that's how you make yourself throw up for one, or two, like
Yeah,
all the blood rushes to your face.
yeah, it's just not comfortable. I'd rather lay on the
No.
ground.
Yeah, right? I'd sleep
Just
I'd
lay
sleep
on the
flat on the ground.
floor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. But anyways, that's where it came from. So I thought that was interesting. And no hangovers in this department over here because we both drink a shit ton of water. That and we have our favorite beverage, the Moscow Mule. I'm wondering slash thinking that Sierra made a non-alcoholic version,
Yes.
but I will tell you the ingredients because we've been talking about how much we love these for episodes now, so naturally it felt like the perfect 200th cocktail. It is not related to our episode at all. It is just because that's what we wanted to drink to celebrate.
Yes.
So, Moscow Mules have very little ingredients. All you need is vodka, ginger beer, fresh lime, and I also put mint in my Moscow Mules. I know that's weird.
Not too weird. Some people do that.
It's like a mix between a mojito and a Moscow Mule when I do that, and it
Yeah.
makes me happy, so
Yeah.
but, I personally like a very spicy ginger beer, a really snappy ginger beer. So, really all you're gonna do is you're gonna go 1 to 2 ounces of your vodka, you're gonna squeeze some fresh lime in it, you're gonna shake it up over ice, and then you're gonna pour it into a glass with new ice and top it with ginger beer and enjoy. And, you can also add simple syrup if you choose. A lot of people do that because the ginger beer is too spicy for them, but I love the spice of it all, so I
Yeah.
always skip that. And I muddle a little bit of mint in mine because I just think that the mint and the ginger taste kinda good together. So,
You're making a
that's just me.
Moscow Mulejito.
Yeah, I've got a mulejito happening. I don't know why I have a straw anymore, but my copper cup is, ready to go. Mine's not a
Yes.
real copper cup, though, and I think
You
yours
can
is.
tell mine is because it's just fucking dripping. Like, it is sweaty.
I'm really jealous. Mine, maybe that's why yours sounds so cold and mine warmed, because mine is just a copper lined cup.
Ah, yeah.
But how did you make your no boozy version?
Same thing, except instead of vodka, I used apple cider vinegar. Same taste and everything. It's perfect.
That is smart, and you're getting your apple cider vinegar in that way.
Yeah.
There you go.
The ginger
I
beer
like it.
really, really covers up the taste of the apple cider vinegar too. So if any of you listening are like, I've always heard good things about drinking apple cider vinegar, but I can't stomach it. If you can
And
stomach
you
a
love
ginger beer,
Rodeos.
yeah. If you can
And you
stomach
too love Moscow Mules.
right, the ginger beer really covers it up.
Huh. I'm actually going to try that because I bought a case of ginger beer for this occasion. It's not
Yeah.
something I keep in the house all the time because I will drink it. And it already has sugar in it sometimes, so I don't want to just constantly drink ginger beer, but fuck, it's good. If you are a Moscow Mule girly or boy or neither yourself, let us know. And I'm excited to see what Sierra does next week because she is going to make a rendition of it for part 2. So we are going to jump right into this case after a quick ad break. Welcome back, and let's dive into this case because it is, again, one you guys have hinted at that you've wanted us to cover. We've teased the serial killer and cults enough in our intro without even planning on it. We are covering Charles Manson and the infamous Tate-LaBianca murders. The first hint that we are going to be coming at this in true Taylor Swift Easter egg fashion was during Sierra's episode of the 26 Club, episode 155, where she discusses some weird similarities and spookiness surrounding the deaths of Jean Harlow and Sharon Tate. It's honestly one of my favorite episodes she's ever done, so go listen. I did sneak a favorite bonus because I just couldn't pick 5, so there we go.
It is a really good one. I was so excited when I found that out. I was excited to tell
Right?
it. So, yeah, that's
It's like
fun.
one of those Inception moments where you're just like,
Yeah.
I cannot understand this. So we are going to go back to the beginning as we do all stories. And I am just saying that we could do an entire bonus episode just on the murders that are believed to have been committed by Charles Manson. But we are going to focus on the ones that we know for sure he did. This man is something, and I don't necessarily mean that in a good way. We will still talk about him and how he managed to convince people to kill total strangers and worship and mimic everything that he ever did. He's truly an enigma. Charles Mills Maddox was born on November 12th, 1934 in Cincinnati, Ohio, to 16-year-old Ada Kathleen Maddox.
Oh, wait, I didn't know that.
You didn't know that he was born in Cincinnati?
No.
Oh my
How
God.
long did he live there?
Not long.
Okay.
As
Yeah,
far as I
because
know.
that was what's his face? Dahmer was born, I don't think in Cincinnati, but near Cincinnati, maybe Cleveland or Columbus also, but he didn't stay long either.
There's a lot of weirdos in Cincinnati
They
that
don't
come
know.
from
They leave
Cincinnati.
though. Okay, they leave very quickly. They're not raised in Cincinnati. All right. All right. They leave very quickly. It's their surroundings. They should have stayed. Well, they should have stayed until they were 17 and then left like I did.
Sierra turned out mostly normal.
Yeah.
She doesn't kill people. That's a bonus.
Right. That's
Or have a cult following. Well, I don't
uh,
know. After the whole cuckoo bird incident, we're not sure. He would never know his biological father, but right before she gave birth to her son, she did marry a man named William Eugene Manson. But all it said on his Ohio birth certificate was Manson. He was never named as a baby.
Okay, wait. Is that a Cincinnatiism? Because I was baby girl, not Zorn. I'm not going to tell y'all my mom's maiden name, but baby girl something else for about 6 days. They didn't know what to name me. I went home without a name on my birth certificate. So,
guys, keep an eye on Sierra, okay?
listen.
I'm a little worried now. Stop comparing yourself to Charles Manson.
It's just weirding me out.
It's uncanny, really. But yes, They did eventually come to nickname him Charlie, which is where Charles came from, but we'll get there. So he didn't have a name on his birth certificate, neither did Sierra, and William and Kathleen's relationship didn't last very long. They would divorce in 1937, and William claimed that she was a neglectful mother for going on frequent drinking sprees with her brother Luther. In one source, it did say that Kathleen tried to sell Charles for a pint of beer, so her behavior is problematic to say the least. A few months later, she and
What
her
year is
brother,
it?
1937.
She probably should have sold that kid. I
He would have
mean,
been way better off. I
uh,
mean,
maybe things would be different.
it's like a whole parallel universe. Like, who would Charles Manson have become if he had been sold for a pint of beer? A story.
Jesus.
Who knows? Maybe Sharon Tate would still be here, and then what?
Yeah.
I mean, she would be, like, in her 80s, living a good-ass life. That
Yeah.
woman is my Roman Empire. I said it on episode 155. I mean it. So, problematic behavior. Her and her brother would also be arrested for assault and robbery and sentenced to 5 and 10 years in prison, respectively. Charles was then placed in the care of his aunt and uncle in McMeekin. I've looked up how to say this. Don't yell at me, anyone in West Virginia, okay? He was placed in the care of his aunt and uncle in McMeekin, West Virginia, until his mom was paroled in 1942. Kathleen would continue her spree of evening drinks, and Charles was often left to his own devices. They later moved to Indianapolis, where Kathleen met and married a man named Lewis Woodson Cavender Jr. They met at an AA program. So, I mean, I guess they were trying to better themselves, but it didn't necessarily make for a good match. At the age of 9, Charles was getting into trouble for petty theft and casually trying to set his school on fire. At 9. And at 13, he was placed in the Gibbolt School for Boys, which was basically for troubled teens. It was an incredibly strict Catholic school. Even the smallest infraction brought on a beating, which is not the way to rear children or help heal them, but separate problem. Finally, Charles had had enough and ran away from the school, sleeping wherever he could each night before making his way back to his aunt and uncle's house in West Virginia. His mother, however, just sent him right back to Gibbolt. So she didn't want to deal with him. She was largely part of the problem in his problematic behavior. And then she's like, no, I'm just going to send you back to this Catholic school.
She should have just got the beer. Whoever was giving up beer to have this kid wanted
In
a kid.
1934.
That person wanted a child. They would have treated him better.
I agree.
They listen, in 1934, beer was just recently legalized again. All right. That was a big, they were giving up a lot.
Yeah,
They were giving up a lot for that kid.
it's true. Again, tell us what you guys think would have happened in this timeline, because I'm curious. That didn't stop Charles, though, because 10 months later he would run away again. But he needed to figure out what to do next and robbed a grocery store, just trying to get some food and enough money to rent a room for the night. He got jobs delivering messages for Western Union and would make extra money with some petty thefts on the side. So, not totally on the up and up yet. But having been caught one too many times, a judge ordered him back to ordered him to go to Boys Town, which was a juvenile facility in Nebraska. So he's bouncing around states, he's bouncing around boys' schools, he's stealing, things aren't good. It didn't take long for him to find more trouble there either, because just 4 days later, he and another student stole a gun and a car, committed 2 armed robberies, and were arrested 2 weeks later.
That escalated quickly.
Yeah, it did. And he was moved to a boys' school in Indiana, which was much stricter and had heavier security. But
You said in
allegedly,
Indiana?
Indiana.
So he's back to where his mom lives.
Yes.
Goodness.
Because sending him to a boys' school out of state where she couldn't keep an eye on him, like, that's whatever she was doing. Allegedly, while he was there, a few students beat up and tried to rape Charles under the encouragement of another staff member.
Mm.
So he would run away from the school at least 18 times, which got to admire the persistence. In February of 1951, during one of his escapes, he and 3 other boys robbed gas stations and attempted to drive towards California. They were caught and arrested in Utah. Charles was then sent to another boys' school, the National Training School for Boys in Washington, D.C.
That's so far away.
I know.
That's
Like, and
so
just like now
far
what?
away.
That's 4 schools so far,
He was
none of
almost
which
to
are helping.
California where he was trying to go, and you sent him to the complete opposite side of the fucking country. Like,
I know, that's rude.
dude, so rude.
I mean, nothing good comes from Charles Manson, as we know, but this is just a wild, like, what? He's like 19 at this point. It's just crazy to me. He was given a number of aptitude tests indicating that he was aggressively antisocial and mostly illiterate, and a psychiatrist recommended that he get moved to a Natural Bridge Honor Camp, which was a mental institution in Virginia.
Okay.
His aunt told administrators, though, that he could stay with her and that she would help him find a job and get back on his feet. So his aunt and uncle that had been a part of raising him had a little bit of a soft spot, but this was red flag number 1. Somebody's
Yeah.
like, he needs different help. He doesn't need to keep getting thrown in these schools that are beating him and not keeping an eye on him and where he's around bad influences. He needs help. But of course,
Aggressive
that was
and
ignored.
antisocial are almost never in the same
I
description
know.
of one person. When they are, that's how you know there's a fucking problem. Okay.
Yeah.
Aggressively antisocial. I
Yeah,
don't like
that's
that.
like that's like a literal brewing for dangerous
Yeah.
behavior.
Yeah.
But even though his aunt had a good intention, it didn't take long for him to find trouble again. It's just a part of him at this point. He was caught raping a boy at knife point in January of 1952.
Jesus fuck.
He was then moved to the Federal Reformatory in Petersburg, Virginia, and and then on to a maximum security reformatory in Ohio. So he's gone full circle now.
Yeah.
He was set to remain there until November of 1955 when he would turn 21 years old, but he was released a little bit early in May of 1954 for good behavior, which surprises me, and then went back to living with his aunt and uncle. I understand the unruliness of this upbringing, but he wasn't exactly set up for success. It's also challenging because locking somebody up until they're a legal adult isn't a solution for reform either, but we've kind of discussed that. So, in January of 1955, Charles married a hospital waitress named Rosalie Rhodey Jean Willis. They were a true crime match made in heaven because they
Okay.
stole a car and were arrested in Las Vegas following this wedded bliss. Nothing says a romantic honeymoon like, let's steal a car together, baby.
Yeah. I mean, for someone who's like a thrill seeker, that sounds like a perfect honeymoon. Also, that name, I'm sorry, but she has a great fucking name. That is amazing.
That's why I had to put her whole name in here because I'm like, you can't shorten that to anything else. It just sounds like she sounds like a character that I would write a book about, Like
Exactly.
she's like a Bonnie and Clyde type.
Yes, the kind of character who would rob or steal a car and travel with it for her honeymoon, but get away with it.
I mean, he really shouldn't have let her go.
Yeah.
As a result, though, his probation was broken from driving across state lines, and he was sentenced to serve 3 years in prison. So now, as a legal adult, there's no more reformatory schools. It's just straight prison. And get this, Rosalie was pregnant and would give birth to their son, Charles Manson Jr., in April of 1956.
Could he legally call him Charles Manson Jr. when
No, because
his
his name
birth
isn't
certificate is just
officially, it's just
Manson?
Manson. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you're not a yeah, you're Manson Jr., I guess, technically.
Yeah, that's weird.
It is weird. And no surprise, that child has long gone on to change their name. So
Yeah.
Rosalie would continue to visit Charles in prison, but eventually those visits would get shorter and shorter and eventually stop altogether. And he learned that she was now with another man. In September of 1958, Rosalie would file for divorce. So things did not improve for Charles after this, and to be clear, he did all of this himself. You can feel bad for his upbringing, but not for him, as he is as an adult. He would be in and out of prison for the next 9 years. One for things such as prostitution of a 16-year-old girl and attempting to cash a US Treasury check and for stealing cars. He was described by probation reports as, quote, suffering from a marked degree of rejection, instability, and psychic trauma, and constantly striving for status and secure loving of some kind. He was unpredictable and only safe under supervision. End quote. No, nothing good there.
Yeah, that's rough.
Are we noticing a pattern here? This is 2 reports now by professionals in this industry that are saying he, like, shouldn't be let out and he needs psychiatric help.
Yeah, and also that middle piece sounded like a really fancy way of saying mommy issues.
Oh, total mommy
But
issues, constantly
also
striving for status and securing some
exactly.
kind of love.
Yeah.
Yes.
But also there are plenty of people with mommy issues who don't murder people. So,
So after his release in March of 1967, Charles was really not adjusting well. No shock. He's spent his entire upbringing in institutions. Leading up to his release, he actually told prison authorities that prison had become his home and asked if he could stay. But they did not let him stay because prisons are grossly overpopulated and our systems are broken.
they are so broken and I'm not surprised that he asked to stay. I personally have known people who went to prison who got out and was like, I can't find a job. I can't make any money. I don't have anywhere to live. If I go back to prison, I don't care.
Yeah,
It'll be
and they'll
fine.
purposefully do something to
Yeah.
go back to prison.
Yeah. And guess what? In prison, they get a free room, a free bed, free food, even though it's not great. The world is not easy, especially on prisoners or people who are ex convicts.
Yeah, it's a very broken system. And it's unfortunate because if people were given a little bit more opportunity to get back on their feet, maybe that would not be a pattern. And if they were properly reformed and helped within the institutions, they would
That's what
be
it's all
better
about.
suited to go
That's what
outside
it's all
again.
about because the people
Oh,
who don't want to hire these ex-convicts know that the prison system is not reforming them. So if the prison system reformed them in the first place, then people wouldn't be so quick to judge an ex-convict and would be able to give them a chance. And then they'd want to get out and they'd want to do good. It's a whole fucking circle that starts with better prisons.
I agree. Upon his release, he immediately left Los Angeles and moved to Berkeley, just outside of San Francisco. He did check in with his parole office following his arrival, even though that normally would have been a violation, him leaving, and he was put under the care of a criminology researcher and federal probation officer named Roger Smith. He worked at the Haight-Ashbury Free Medical Clinic, which reportedly received funding from the CIA to study the effects of drugs like LSD and methamphetamines within the district. This area was known for their counterculture movement, which challenged traditional authority, encouraged alternative lifestyles, and advocated for peace, love, and social justice. It was the sticking it to the man of it all of the 60s and early 70s. That basically describes every like anti-man movement that you
Yeah.
can think of, guys. So when I heard the term counterculture, I'm like, what does that mean? And I was like, it was literally just that movement. Charles would end up moving into the heart of the city and using LSD regularly. According to study documentations, the change in Charles's personality during this time was, quote, the most abrupt Roger Smith had observed in his entire professional career, end quote. Which, how many red flags are we at now?
Well, but also if he was red flagging before and this is the most abrupt change, is he now green flagging somehow? Like, what the
No, I
fuck
think
is
he's hit the
happening?
whole spectrum. I think he's gone from one end of fucked up to the other.
Jesus.
Well, you've seen videos of Charles Manson, right? Like
Yeah.
talking. It's an experience. I do have one clip that I'm going to insert at the end of this recording for our listeners, just to get an idea if you've never seen an interview of him, because not only is it really hard to follow and a little bit amusing, but it's just like it's intriguing at the end of
Yeah.
the day. Like he managed to convince people to do these things for a reason. Like yes, they were, you know, easily influential young girls and like things like that as well, but it's also just like he was, I don't want to say charming because that's not the word, but he was something.
Yeah.
You guys will see.
Rambo from 12 to 15. Kai Karate from age 5 to 17. Then you got all your kids out here doing these crazy things. Now you want to come and say, Charlie Manson's the father of our country. We're convicting you for being Jesus Christ. We're convicting you for being the devil. We're convicting you for being responsible for our actions. I'm not responsible for anyone's actions but my own actions. In my whole life, I've burglarized a grocery store, stole some nickels and dimes, busted open a stamp machine, stole a few automobiles, and cashed a couple checks. I'm a petty car thief. I've been with prostitutes and bums and winos and all my life. The street is my world. I don't pretend to go uptown and be anything fancy. I can, but I find more real in the world that I'm in than I do the tinsel. And the real world is the one I have to deal with every day, you know. Believe me, if I started murdering people, there'd be none of you left.
The one thing that Charles Manson seemed to have going for him, though, is that he was actually a talented musician. And I think this helped with his ever growing number of female followers. Not only do hippies love sticking it to the man, but they also love, rock stars. He learned how to read music and play the guitar while in prison, and it kind of was a passion of his outside of wreaking general havoc. That and he was providing them with LSD and without knowing it, providing even more people to test the effects of the drug against. It was the late 60s and early 70s hippie movement, so people were all about free love and, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. So it was
Exactly.
easy to convince them to be like, "Hey, I have free LSD. Do you wanna get high together? Yeah, no problem." And these girls followed him everywhere. They even converted this old bus with tassels and carpet and paint and drove all around the city in it. Charles had established himself as this guru type in the community, and his family were dubbed the Manson family. I'm going to tell you about the followers that are relevant to our stories, and Sierra is going to cover a few of them in part two. Relevant in the stories and the crime because there were so many, and most of them did absolutely nothing wrong and don't need to get called out. And this story could be 18 pages long just in part one. So, the first of his many followers was Mary Brunner. She was a 23-year-old library assistant from the University of California, Berkeley. She was originally from Eau Claire, Wisconsin, and after graduating, she settled into this job in San Francisco. When she met Charles, the two clicked instantly and actually ended up moving in together. This group would grow quickly to 35 people, with the majority being underage girls. They all shared the passion of sticking it to the man and living an unconventional lifestyle and taking psychedelic drugs. So they found their people within each other. Susan Atkins met Charles Manson at a house where she was living with several of her friends, and they had been throwing a party when Charles was there playing the guitar. She had been working as a sex worker up until this point, And when her house was raided just weeks later, it left her homeless. So Charles invited her to live with them. Lynette Alice Fromm was better known as Squeaky. She was 19 years old and kicked out of living with her family after she dropped out of college. Charles seemed to have predicted this in her and she believed him to be a psychic, falling for his charms immediately. So he was like, you there, child, you got kicked out and you're down on your luck. Come with me. That's how I pictured it going.
That seems perfect. Perfectly how it went, for sure.
Patricia Krenwinkel met Charles Manson when the bus rolled up in Manhattan Beach, along with Lynette and Mary. And he convinced her to come with them as well. This the original party bus of people is driving around beaches in California. And what young 20-something-year-old doesn't want to be like, oh yeah, that sounds like fun, let's go hang out. He was allegedly one of the first people in her life to call her beautiful. So for her, it was love at first sight. He used music in his warnings and manipulated the meanings of lyrics. Helter Skelter was an invented word that he used, insinuating that the world was under a race war. He also used the Beatles, for example. Maybe you've heard of them. The music video was meant to be a metaphor for the rise and fall of the Roman Empire, but Charles interpreted it to be a beginning of a race war. If the Beatles are telling us about this, it must be true. There was also a rival group known as the Black Panthers at the time, and by rival group, I mean just representing Black community members, and people were extremely racist at the time. Additional songs like Blackbird by the Beatles were used to serve as a warning as well. I mean, you can take whatever meaning from a song that you'd like, but pushing racially motivated and hateful messages can be problematic, as we will soon see.
Kind of sounds like when people read the Bible and then interpreted it different.
And that it could have potentially harmful consequences.
Yeah.
Especially when you had reach like Charles Manson did to young, impressionable, and drugged up girls. The core of his philosophy was a kind of Armageddon type movement. Charles preached that the black man was going to rise up and start killing the whites and turn the cities into an inferno of racial revenge. Okay. Charles started working with a music teacher named Gary Hinman, who would go on to introduce him to Dennis Wilson of the Beach Boys. Dennis and Charles hit it off right away. The man was honestly just fascinated that he had this just group of girls in this whole bus, like he was living this hippie dream. In fact, Charles Manson attracted so many followers that they could no longer fit on the bus anymore and moved into an abandoned ranch in the San Fernando Valley of California.
Does that make the other guy a complete fucking idiot for not noticing the red flags?
Like
just being
Dennis
oh,
Wilson?
yeah.
Yeah.
Just being like, oh wow,
For
all these
sure.
girls are following you. That's cool.
Yeah.
No, dude,
No,
that's concerning.
Yeah, he was thinking with his penis.
Yeah, of course. Makes sense.
So they moved to this little small commune that would escalate into Manson's girls believing that he was Jesus and really falling for this race war thing. Dennis Wilson then went on to introduce Charles to a record producer named Terry Melcher. He was the son of actress Doris Day. Again, maybe you've heard of her. After initially showing interest in Charles's music, though, he thought that it was possible that he would be a liability and decided not to sign him on. This action would set the rest of our story into motion. Gary was good to Charles and his family, even letting him stay with him from time to time. But on July 27th, 1969, the musician and UCLA undergraduate was alone at home. Charles, for some reason, believed that he had inherited a large sum of money and sent some of his followers to his house to try and convince him to give it up. The followers were Bobby Boschel, Susan Atkins, and Mary Brunner. When he denied having any money and not knowing what they were talking about, Charles arrived with a sword and slashed his face and his ear. Bobby would then fatally stab Gary Hinman to death. That's what fatally stabbing means, but okay. Before leaving, they used his blood to write "Political Piggy" and a Black Panther symbol on the wall, possibly to mislead any police officers into thinking that the Black Panther Party was responsible for the murders.
And this is the point where I'm like, what the fuck are his followers following? Because if you are going to blame someone who you think is doing bad things, do you not comprehend that you are now doing the bad thing and blaming someone who didn't do the bad thing? You've never seen them do a bad thing. Why are you... Ugh. It's stressed me out.
Called brainwashing.
I know, when it gets to that point, I'm like...
This is the cult of it all, though.
It doesn't make sense.
I know.
Drugs. Maybe that's it.
Drugs too. I'm gonna have a rainbow that comes across the screen and it says hugs, not drugs. You guys should follow us on YouTube if you would like more of that nonsense. Bobby Boschel was arrested on August 6, 1969, after being found driving Gary's car with the murder weapon in the tire well. He was convicted and sentenced to death, but his sentence was commuted to life in prison when the California Supreme Court ruled the death penalty unconstitutional in 1972. Bobby was denied parole multiple times, with his most recent denial occurring in October of 2016. Gary Hinman's death set off a series of murders by the Manson family, including the infamous Tate-LaBianca's killings in August of 1969. Those have been extensively covered in media, and most recently in the Netflix documentary Chaos: The Manson Murders, which was one of our sources for these episodes. Later, Gary's family expressed that his life and contributions are more significant than the tragedy of his death. His cousin Charlotte Hood emphasized that the family remembers him for his life and not just being a victim of Charles Manson. But Sierra is going to pick up on the chaos, no pun intended, that is to follow in part 2. And that is our part 1 200th episode bonus, Charles Manson. Ah! Tell me your thoughts thus far.
I mean, it's fucking Charles Manson. How can you not think that he's, I don't know, crazy while also thinking, how did this happen? Well, I don't know. It's mind-boggling.
He is both fascinating and terrifying.
Yeah, it's weird.
I've seen part of his brain dust in a jar at a... I don't think it's brain dust. I don't want to say brain dust. Is it part of his brain that Zach Bagans has, or is it
I don't know,
part of his ashes? Hold on. Zach Bagans Museum.
When did he die?
Charles Manson.
Wasn't that recent?
Yeah. What?
Like in the last 10 years?
Oh! It's, okay, sorry. It's not any of what I just said. I saw Charles Manson's teeth on display at the Zach Bagans Haunted Museum. And
he died in 2017.
Yeah, it was pretty recent. Well, no, it's not recent now, but it felt recent when it happened. I know what you mean.
In the last 10 years.
Yeah. Gross. I didn't realize that they were teeth. I heard, because we were in like a big group of people, and I heard them talking about something with Charles Manson, but that was when I had heard like a woman's voice or something. And so I was so distracted by that, because it was like the whole serial killer room, and I was really creeped out. That's so his teeth. I witnessed his
Gross.
teeth. Gross, real gross. Also, teeth are gross.
Yeah.
And that's not even my thing, that's Sierra's. And speaking of my things, instead of something happy to talk about and something that we just want to talk to you guys about as a 200th episode special coverage, we are going to talk about some of my favorite episodes and Sierra's favorite episodes of mine. And we are going to do the
Yes.
same thing in part 2 for hers before anyone yells at me and is like, Sierra's episodes are good too. Yes, they're fucking good. That's why we're doing a whole segment dedicated to her. And we wanted to do this at the end because some of you just like to skip to the case, and that's okay too. Also, I got my first, I'm going to pause it really quick to tell you about this.
Okay.
We're going to talk about
Okay.
happy stuff. Welcome back. But on that note, tell me, do you want me to go first or do you want to go first?
Okay, we can go back and forth because we're doing maybe we'll have the same.
Rabbit train. I used it again. Okay. So Sierra, I don't even know where did rabbit train come from? I forget.
You were trying to say rabbit hole and something about a train and the train of thought, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rabbit train came out. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go from the episode 100
Oldest?
to episode 200. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm going from oldest to newest.
Okay.
So my first favorite on my list is episode 125, Unsinkable Violet, the lady that survived both the Britannica and the Titanic.
Same.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that's so funny.
I love that one. Violet Jessup was the coolest person ever.
Icon.
Yes.
I love a serendipitous moment too in history. Hence why the Sharon Tate, Jean Harlow episode fascinated me so much. And when I saw that, I just, because the Titanic is my other Roman Empire, so naturally I had to do that episode, and I'm glad that I was able to share something new with you.
Yeah, and with Sissy's ridiculous Titanic infatuation, like it really, I really liked learning about that.
I think that Sis was definitely a past life survivor of the Titanic. Like that's the only reason.
Yeah,
that she's that fascinated
or
with it.
died.
There's no other explanation.
Maybe she died on the Titanic, you know?
That's what I mean. Like, oh yeah, true.
Yeah.
True. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
And I lied. I'm gonna go back one more episode in my top 5 in my Puckwudgie episode.
Yeah.
Episode 116, B-lister cryptids, was a fun episode.
That was in my top 10, but I had to go down to top 5.
Narrow it down.
Yeah.
I really enjoy the categories and different stories that we do in all things Twisted because we get to have lighthearted episodes and more serious episodes, and I love doing cryptids. And I hope that we never run out of cryptids to cover. People need to keep discovering the ghost pants of the world, okay?
Yes, please. My lowest, other than Violet Jessup, because you just did that one, is episode 132. Might not be paranormal, but it's not normal, with the Tromp family. I loved, because I had researched it myself also and wanted to cover it, and but just hadn't done enough of it. I had it written down. I was like, I had heard of it. I was like, this is crazy. I've got to do more. And then when I found out you were covering it, I was like, now I don't have to research it. You just tell me about it, you know?
Yeah.
That one was
I actually think you said
crazy.
that on that episode.
Yeah.
I forgot I did that one.
Yeah, that was good.
How does that happen? Like
it's still like a mystery. You know what I mean? Like why, what? Like that's one of the craziest fucking things. Why did those people act like that? No idea.
It's so unsettling. It's like a foliature of it all, but not.
Yeah.
I
but
still
like
don't.
5 of them.
Yeah. I think I need to go back and re-listen to that episode because now I'm curious. I don't know if you've noticed this as well, but like even in just how we write notes or how we tell stories now is so different, like from past us. So past us might have a theory, but then present us might have a totally different theory. So now I'm like, I need to refresh my mind a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that.
My next favorite is Nothing Tranquil About It. The Kamloops institution / housing facility, the sanatorium, the abandoned one in Kamloops. I think that history is super fascinating. I think that the fact that it's still there and it's as large as it is and it's just totally untouched still. The fact that it was 5 different types of institutions while it was around. It's the haunting of it all is too much for me to ignore, and it's literally like 4 hours away from me. I have no excuse. I just need to bring our equipment there. I just need to go, but I'm
Yeah.
scared. I'm scared.
Do it.
But I did really enjoy covering it, and I did really enjoy learning about the history because I find that most of my stories gravitate outside of Canada. I shouldn't say most. I'm literally scrolling and I'm like, "Oh, that one happened in Canada. That one happened in Canada." But I think it's cool when I can find something that's so rich in history close to my home. And I remember reading at the end like a bunch of real accounts of people whose family members had stayed there and stuff, and it was just like really raw and just fascinating, but horrible. History is horrible, as we've learned about today, but also I'm glad I got to learn about it.
My next is
Was it in your top 10? I feel like I'm doing an NFL draft or something.
Top 10. My next one, number 3, is episode 161, What Happened in Aruba, with Max DeVries.
Yes.
I still, to this day, like, my friends take a year, or every year take a vacation to somewhere in the Caribbean islands, and one of them mentioned Aruba, and they're like, "Are you guys gonna come?"
You're
And I was
like,
like,
"Don't
"No,
go."
no,
No.
I will never."
There's another
There are
story that I
so
have to
many.
cover in the next 100 episodes of ours
Yeah.
that also took place in Aruba.
There's so many in Aruba, and none of them are good. What the
No.
fuck is happening in Aruba?
I think that it's like a trafficking hotspot.
It's gotta be.
Like, I still
Like,
think that
even
that's
little boys, like,
unfortunately
what
what
the
happened
fuck?
to Max. Like, I don't think that
Yeah.
he was I don't think that he killed him on the water.
I don't
I think
either.
that he sold him
Yeah,
and
I
that
agree.
Max fought while he was put on that boat.
Yeah. That's fucking
It's
terrifying and
heartbreaking.
scary. What's your next one?
I'm honored that you liked that one because that one was hard to research. Kid stuff
Yeah.
fucks me up. Even
Yeah.
teenage boy stuff fucks me up. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna
I
say
just wanted to go on a jet ski.
Right. Yeah, and it's not like, "Oh, I love this case." It's more like,
Yeah.
I'm so glad
I'm
that I now
proud
know
to have
it.
covered it, and yeah.
Yeah, because I
I get
didn't before.
I definitely get that. Okay, another favorite of mine was I Might Go Back to It. Guys, I'm gonna be honest here, I didn't pick my 5 favorites because I just had a hard time with it, and I was gonna do it on the fly and make myself choose because I overthink everything. I have, like, 12 of Sierra's, so separate from I eliminated one
Jesus.
without cheating this episode, so it's fine. Another one that I really enjoyed doing was episode 172, Lord Dexter Shine Forevermore. That is the quirkiest man I have ever read about in history, secondary to the guy in your Marie Antoinette story, the gay
Oh,
guy.
yeah.
I forget his first name, but you have to cover him
I
on his
know, I
own at
really
some point.
do.
But Lord Dexter was kind of like that same flashy, very out there for his time period guy. And even though he was a total asshole, like scolding his wife for not reacting appropriately at his fake funeral
Right, yeah.
when we did faked deaths crimes. So
Mhm.
I still can't believe that that was a real man in history.
I know. I had
And
that
it
one
was
in
just
my
a fun
top 10.
episode. Yeah. It was
Yeah.
just a fun episode.
That was a good one. My 4th one is episode, sorry, I don't have the names of them, I just have the people that you cover.
I'm on our website.
Oh.
I'm
Okay.
cheating a little bit.
Episode 170, Aliens Are in the Ocean, because we fucking knew it was coming, okay?
Yeah,
Aliens
aliens are
are in the ocean, all right? They fucking are. And the what is it? The Pascagoula Is that how you say it? Pascagoula abduction?
Alien
Yeah.
abduction. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
That
That was
was my
another
first
one.
ever alien abduction too. I've left them all to you.
Oh wow. That's another one that I have known about this for a long time. One day I planned on covering it and it's like, now I don't have to. Thank you. Thank you for telling me all the little details.
And the way that the Pascagoula abduction described their aliens
Yeah.
reminded me a little bit of your aliens on your most recent
Mhm.
paranormal one that still
The
gives me nightmares
Allagash.
to this
Yeah.
day. Um, and just like the smooth skinned like version of it, their descriptions, not the bugs part. Still
Right.
never okay with the bugs part.
Yeah.
But it goes to show you that like something is in the water
Yeah.
that we shouldn't be ignoring.
I was at the beach today and there was a dead fish, which is disgusting, but
Yeah.
it someone was fishing and I guess their line snapped and the fish died somehow. It was floating on top of the water. It still had a line in its mouth. Anyway, it floated up to shore, near shore, and so some of the people swimming took it out of the water because they didn't want it to attract sharks.
Yeah, fair.
I have no fucking idea what kind of fish it was. Like, it looked like a fucking alien, okay? It was a
So maybe
creepy
it was
ass
an
fish.
alien.
It might have been an alien.
That's why the minute it was caught, it was like, oh, we have to disengage whatever
Yeah.
this is.
Die
Because
now.
you can't get caught. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't get caught. That's
It was creepy.
ew. Did you
Yeah,
get
it
a
was
photo of
creepy.
it?
I didn't, but the people I was with did. I wonder if they posted it yet.
They
Let
need
me
to send it
check.
to you if they didn't, because I need to.
Right?
My other favorite episode, speaking, I have to move away from dead fish and aliens,
Yeah.
or I won't sleep tonight. Sheldon is not inflated for me to use as a sacrifice on the deck. He is currently deflated because I have nowhere to put him. But my other favorites, I'm torn between the episode that I did on the schools cults
Mhm.
or the Pray Away the Gay cult. Both highlight the worst of the worst in terms of humanity. And just learning about all of these people and their stories and the lives that they're currently leading and the changes that they're trying to make are just very inspiring.
The program episode was one of mine that was in my top 10. But it got bumped down because my last one is episode 190, Ghost Bessies, with Sheila Wysocki and
Your
Angela
favorite
Angela Samota.
person.
I love Sheila Wysocki. She is the
I'm
coolest
so happy
lady
you
in the
liked
whole
that
world.
episode. And I'm still embarrassed that I never put 2 and 2 together. Like, I
Yeah.
listened back to that episode, I'm like, "Fuck, it's like the solar system all over again." Sheila Wysocki is common knowledge, like, just not knowing that that was her start to the world
Yeah.
of true crime is just wild to me.
I love it. I'm
Ashamed
so
of
glad you did
myself.
that.
I
Other
know,
honorable mentions. Okay, other ones that were in my top 10.
'cause we're cheating.
I know. The Lost Boys of Pickering. That was episode 107. That was
That
a
was a good
really
one.
good one. I liked the
I still
Bikram
don't know
yoga
what
stuff.
happened to them. I
Oh, I
think
know.
the water aliens got them,
Possibly.
'cause that was on a Great Lake.
Yeah.
Those are trouble.
Bikram yoga 112.
I know.
Just because so many people like followed that and didn't realize it was super culty.
The amount of people that I know that go to Bikram yoga now, I'm just like,
Yeah,
"I can't
still.
do it, guys. I
Yeah.
can't. I won't even go to a single even if they're not owned by that group anymore and they just have the name or whatever, I
Right.
refuse to support it."
And then 123 with Tracy Cusick. She did not fucking drown in the toilet. Okay.
Yeah.
She
That
did
was
not.
that was in my top grouping as well because I remember you being like, "She has a neck, people.
Yeah.
That's not how that works."
Made me
And while
so
it was
upset.
both so funny, it's so obvious. Like,
Yeah.
that's not how
It
humans
upsets me
her
so
forehead
much.
would have hit things, okay?
Yeah.
Ugh, it upsets me too because he fucking got away with it.
Yeah.
Ugh,
Ugh. 100 episodes. 100
that's crazy.
really good episodes.
I know. We've had some good ones.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we do this every 100 episodes because it would just get too hard otherwise. But
Yeah.
our first 100th episode was a little bit crazy. Was that the Nick Jonas tequila episode? Or no, that was our Potiversary episode.
Yeah, that was our Potiversary. Our 100th episode was the
The-
West Memphis 3.
Yes, but we didn't combine those two things, is what I meant.
Correct.
I
Yeah.
know we did the West Memphis 3, and that was a favorite episode of mine in general. That story still haunts me to this day.
Same.
I know that is your Roman Empire.
It
sorts.
is. It really
So,
is. Stresses me out.
Yeah, I'm glad that we, between the two of us, our minds have covered the realm of true crime.
Anyway,
Don't
happy 200
world we live
episodes.
try and kill people, guys.
don't do
God,
that.
don't
Don't do
kill
that.
people. Don't try to kill people. Don't kill people. Name your children when they're birthed. Don't just send them home with a
Right?
Manson on their birth certificate.
Choose love. Happy
Sell
Pride
your
Month.
child for a beer if it's better for them. They're gonna have a better life for it in 1934, okay?
Love, 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 love.
Love is love is
Okay?
love.
Love.
And we love all of you. And thank you so much for listening for another 100 episodes. Don't forget to leave those ratings. Don't forget to check out our Patreon if you
And
feel
tell
so
us,
inclined.
tell us how you do your hearts. Is it millennial? Is it
I can't even
Gen
do that with
Z?
my fingers.
Or is it Gen Alpha?
What the fuck is that?
This is a little teeny tiny heart. They do this now.
Why?
I don't know.
That
Yep,
looks
that's it.
stupid. I didn't even know what you were doing
Yep.
until you had to explain it to me.
1, 2,
I really struggle to do that with my fingers.
yeah,
I look like I'm having like a massive hand cramp.
yeah,
1, 2, 3.
3. Yeah, clearly we're
It's
millennials.
I
Anyway.
love you. Yeah, thank you guys so much. We will see you next week for part 2 of our coverage and our reminiscing on Sierra's episodes. And we love you so much. In the meantime,
Keep it twisted.
Twisted and Uncorked is hosted and produced by Sierra Zorn and Alicia Watson. If you like the show, don't forget to leave a 5-star rating and review wherever you are listening now. It really is the best way to spread the word. You can check out all things Twisted on our website, twistedanduncorked.com, and we will see you next Tuesday for a brand new episode.